After Sunday's Premier League cracker here at Anfield, the Reds are back on home soil tonight for match number 45 of the campaign. 5-1 up from last week's first leg, Jurgen Klopp's men are looking to finish the job against the Czech league leaders and book their place in the last 8 of the Europa League. It is Liverpool versus Sparta Prague. Kick-off is at 8 o'clock. We'll have live audio commentary of all the action on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. Good evening, a warm welcome to another Matchday Live. Stephen Warnock and Tash Dowie are my guests for this one. Half the job is done, but the whole job is not yet done. That is the message going into this clash with Sparta. Tash, interesting position for the players, I guess, in as much as effectively there's one foot in the next round, but I guess as professionals that can't be something that comes into their thoughts. No, and I think you can see from the starting 11, you know, it looks strong. You know, I think Jurgen Klopp's coming here. We've spoken about keeping the momentum, keeping the consistency. You know, I think it's key, the likes of Mo Salah getting minutes, Szoboszlai getting back to the form that he showed at the start of the season. You know, and let's get through to the next round. Yeah, get it done early doors and then we can maybe make some changes, bring some of the youngsters on. Yeah, I guess part of the reason for why he's gone as he is, and we'll get to the team in a second, Stephen, isn't as much there's such a good feel around the place. He doesn't want to disrupt any of the momentum that has built and is continuing to build. Yeah,
I think that's the biggest word that you'll use is momentum. Keep that belief, the winning spirit within the changing room, continuity between players, relationships, understanding of what they're doing on the pitch. I think that's one of the key things at this stage of the season is to continue that. If you start to chop and change things too much throughout the season, if you lose this game, it can have a negative effect within the changing room, and you can't have that seeping in because the stage this season we're still on for 4 trophies, so you've got to continue that. Yeah, and also I guess looking at the team lineup, some players do need minutes, and that is reflected in some of his selections as well. The team then for Liverpool tonight in full as follows: 4 changes from the weekend game against Manchester City. There's a 4th Liverpool start for Bobby Clark in midfield. And Mo Salah makes his first start for Liverpool since New Year's Day as a couple of those alterations. It's Kevin Kelleher in goal, back 4 of Conor Bradley. Joe Gomez back in the England squad, of course, today in at centre-half. It's Jarell Quansah alongside him and Andy Robertson to complete the back 4. In midfield, Wataru Endo, Dominic Szoboszlai and Bobby Clark. Darwin Núñez, Mo Salah and Cody Gakpo are the front 3. On the bench, it's Adrian, Mosiek, Van Dijk, Diaz, McAllister, Elliott, Tsimikas, Gordon, McConnell, Kumas, Dans and Mussolowski. For Sparta, well, they come into this game having taken a bit of a drubbing at the weekend. They lost 4-0 in their league game against Viktoria Plzeň. They had another man sent off, a man sent off for the second successive league game. It's Krecic this time. They went down 4-0, as I say, and that means now their lead at the top of the Czech table is just 1 point over rivals Slavia. Some interesting team selections for them, most noticeably top scorer Lukas Hrashlin, who came off at the weekend, is only fit enough for a place on the bench. Kazim Laki, the Albanian midfielder, comes in for him. Asker Sorensen is also out. Matej Rajneš is in his place. It looks like a rejig in formation as well, switching to a 3-5-2. It'll be Peter Vindal Jensen in goal, Jaroslav Zeleny, Varislav Krecic and Martin Vitic as the back 3, we think. Matej Rajneš on one side, Angelo Preciado on the other. Kaan Karanen, the Finnish midfielder, one of the centre 3 in midfield. Markus Solbakken, Kazim Laki will complete that midfield lineup. There'll be Jan Kukta and Velko Brmancevic as the front 2. On the bench, it's Varel, Surovic, Olatunje, Karabek, Tucci, Sadalek, Mejia, Hrashlin, Vidra, Panak and Weissner and Sevcik. Oh, bravo.
I was about to say, that pronunciation. Wow.
Sounded good, sounded convincing. Could all be terribly wrong. Any Czech viewers, do not send your complaints to me. But I think what we underline from that team, it's that continuity of selection you talked about. There are a lot of big players, and I guess it's win the game tonight, Stephen, get in a good position. Then if you want to bring the kids on, you can do it, as the guys have touched on.
Yeah, quite possibly. It was interesting. I was at Man City last week, and they were comfortable in the first leg, and they go to the Etihad. And you're watching the game thinking, he's not bringing players off here because they're so reluctant to break the momentum again and within a game. So I'm wondering what Jurgen's going to do, whether he's thinking, do I make 3 or 4 changes at half time if they're in a comfortable position, i.e. still 0-0 or a couple of goals up, does he then go, well, I can alternate the players and give them 45 minutes each? We've seen it before. But he's in a great position, isn't he, to be able to do what he wants to do, as long as the performance is good enough within the first 45 minutes.
One player who's been a heart of a lot of that's good of Liverpool this season is Joe Gomez. I mentioned back in the England squad. Fabulous to see that for him, and a real reward for his dedication, his mental strength, I guess, at times, because sometimes maybe he did get criticised, he was out the side, but he's come through that with flying colours.
Oh, it's brilliant. You know, you see what he's done this season, right back, left back, holding. I think he's openly said as well about Gomez getting back into the England squad, which always helps when your manager's backing you publicly as well. And good on him, you know, hard work. That hasn't come easy. So I really hope that when he goes away, he continues to play how he does with Liverpool, injury-free, and comes back fit, ready, continuing to be an important player for us this season.
Alongside Jarell Quansah this evening, Stephen, I know you're a fan of the young man. What have you made of his progress this season since he was thrust into the Liverpool starting line?
Well, I think the biggest compliment you can play him is that even at the weekends with the team selection, is that he didn't put Joe Gomez centre half. He didn't play Andrew Robertson. He just said, no, you're good enough to play. His passing, his understanding of when to step into positions to engage is very good. I think he's learning a lot from Van Dijk alongside him, which you would do. But I think the biggest compliment you pay him is that, same as Kelleher, is that we don't worry when they play, and that's a big thing. I think his passing range has improved massively this year. I think he's learnt a lot from Virgil, when to hit that diagonal, how to hit it, but he's so relaxed under pressure, and yeah, he's been really, really impressive. It's at some point the form might dip, but I think the way Jurgen's managing him, I don't think you're going to notice it too much. And he's a very confident boy. I think we know that. I think he surprised a few with his interview at the beginning of the season when Joel got injured, and he just said, well, my aim was to push him out the way anyway. So yeah, he's a confident player. You can understand that, but I like that about him. But that progression to step up from, was it League One football straight into Premier League is very impressive, because usually when you go out on loan it's a gradual ladder and a progress up, but he's been seamless. Really impressed.
At the other end, in terms of experience, is Mohamed Salah back in from the off, and this is the point about players needing minutes. Some need a rest, some need to play more, and he gets a chance to stretch his legs a little this evening. Yeah,
it's the perfect game for Mo. You know, he's the player that he wants to play 90 minutes week in, week out. This would have killed him being out for as long as he had. And he's such a vital player, you know, he's our key player. So, yeah, get him on the pitch, you know, hopefully get him a couple of goals, you know, injury-free again. But, you know, this is the perfect time for Mo to get minutes, and at such an important time of the season for us where we really need him now, you know, come these last 10 games of the season, obviously with the cup games as well.
And Jurgen's spoken about the fact it's sort of adjusting and managing his minutes to get him back at the right time, because he could have thrown him at the weekend, but then you might lose him for the remaining 10 Premier League fixtures. You need to think big picture in these things.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was quite a big injury for Mo, you know, and it's one that we're not used to seeing with him. So I think they've managed him great. They could have easily risked him, especially with how much we're playing for this season. But I think credit to the club, credit to the players that have stepped in, that have allowed the club to maybe be a bit more patient. You know, they've done the job. But yeah, it's great to see him back, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll see more players returning as well.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Well, as ever, we'll have audio commentary of all tonight's action available for you to follow on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. Steve Hunter has talked us through many a European night at Anfield. He's on the gantry once again for us this evening. Steve.
Thank you so much, Mark. Yes, there's been some truly wonderful nights here at Anfield, isn't it? Anfield under the lights on a European game. No matter what the occasion, there's something special about it, isn't it? We know we've had some incredible comebacks over the years, and I keep telling people, it's no coincidence. This is our DNA. We are Liverpool Football Club. This is what we do. Even tonight, you know, what an opportunity it is, a European night tonight for someone like Bobby Clark, getting a start in Europe after featuring, you know, with his proud dad, Lee Clark, the ex-Newcastle man, looking on on at Wembley. He come on and didn't look out of place, did he? And that's the thing with these young lads. You look at Jarell Quansah's display against Manchester City, coming up against the best striker arguably in world football in Erling Haaland. He was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? By the way, I think we've just about got our voices and our breath back from that one, haven't we, at the weekend? It was an absolutely enthralling game. Yeah, we should have had a penalty, but I promise I'm not going to get started on referees once again. But looking at this one tonight, I think it's great that Jurgen Klopp was hinting yesterday, wasn't he, that Mohamed Salah is starting for Liverpool tonight. And I think, you know, ahead of the trip to Old Trafford in the FA Cup, he's got a wonderful scoring record for us at Old Trafford as the Egyptian king as well. And don't forget Mo Salah, he could become only the first player in Liverpool history to score 20 goals for the season in 7 consecutive seasons. That's unbelievable scoring by anyone's scoring rate. That's more than Rushy did, scoring 20 goals in 7 successive seasons for Liverpool. That's absolutely mind-boggling, isn't it? And also his next game is his 74th in European football tonight. Takes him joint 10th on the European all-time LFC appearances list with the great man Phil Neal, and our former skipper Jordan Henderson, of course, had wonderful European glory under Jurgen Klopp here tonight. Of course, like every European opposition who've come to Anfield, you know, the Sparta Prague fans have been in great voice so far as well. They add to the occasions in this Europa League. I think we've had some special nights at Anfield so far. We're going to have some special nights in the future. A goal or two for the Egyptian king tonight. You bet it. Mark, it's back to you.
Yeah, what a legend he is. Mo Salah's not bad either. OK, thank you, Steve. Well, alongside Steve for commentary tonight will be former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor. Rob Jones caught up with him a little earlier.
Well, the first of potentially just 3 more European home nights for Jurgen Klopp as Liverpool manager here at Anfield. Neil Mellor is alongside me. After all the great nights we've seen, it seems strange the lack of jeopardy that Liverpool come into this one with.
Unusual, yeah. Obviously, it's knockout stages now, and it's because Liverpool performed so well in that first leg to put ourselves into such a commanding position, which is where we find ourselves. We know that we want to keep the momentum going, the feel-good factor, and it'll be important to get a good result again tonight, rather than it being a case of nervy of the outcome. But yeah, we've put ourselves in a really good position because of how good we were in that first leg.
And it also becomes a case of seeing it through professionally, that yes, the job is done, it's 1 foot and 4 toes in the quarter-final, but don't be sloppy tonight, don't get lazy, see it through as you should.
I don't think you'll see that at all with any Liverpool performance between now and the end of the season. And the reason I say that is because I feel as though the mentality is really there with this group this season. There's a real desire, real intent to want to achieve something, whether that's been influenced maybe by Jurgen's decision to say this is his last season. I feel as though there's so much to play for. We've seen Liverpool win the League Cup already. This competition, the FA Cup, the Premier League, the season feels very much alive. So I don't believe that any players that go out there tonight will put any kind of sloppy performance, because they want to be at it, to be involved in some massive games around the corner.
You touched on it there, that this is potentially the first of 19 games still to go, and given that there feels like there's going to be something on each and every one of them, that's the incentive for every player who gets an opportunity, no matter how long, involve me in the next match, then the one after that.
If there is to be 19 more games, and we hope there is, that'll be 63 for the season, and it'll be going to each final. Everybody's got to play the part. You know, it's not a case of relying on Mo Salah or maybe Darwin Núñez. Everybody out there has got to play the part, whether it's the goalkeeper, who's done extremely well with the absence of Alisson in Kevin Kelleher, whether it's the defenders, the midfielders, attacking players. Everybody's got to play a part if it's going to be a special season. We all want it to be a special season. There's a hope that we say goodbye to Jurgen in a way which could be incredible, but they've all got to play the part. And it starts in games like tonight. Yes, we're in a great position, and we expect to comfortably get through, but don't be the player who maybe puts in a performance and the manager thinks might not play you next time.
And that's actually the great thing from so far, that sometimes you get to a stage of the season where it's almost too late to find out whether certain players are ready for the big occasion. Those young lads have done it in a cup final already, so we know what they're capable of if they're needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably didn't think they would be. Maybe the manager didn't think either, but that's what happens in football. You just never know what might happen. They've shown that, not just that they're ready, but they're capable of producing really good performances and helping when the team really needed them and the manager needed them. So stepped up, have done really well. They've become trusted players and capable of playing in games like tonight, or maybe some more later on in the season. But yeah, the academy's been a thriving place, And this season sums it up perfectly well with how many youngsters have done exceptionally well when called upon for the first team.
And I think you touched on it in your first answer, that actually tonight maybe is a little bit of an outlier, but God, it's so exciting, isn't it? You go into every game and you're so excited because everything means so much, and we hope that that continues to be the case between now and the end of May.
I think when you walk around the stadium and it's the second leg of a European game tonight, there's a buzz. There's a feel factor in terms of what might be this season. Last season was disappointing. This season feels as though we're back at it. And it's only added to by the fact that we know it's Jurgen's last season in charge at Liverpool, and we all want to thank him and be grateful for what he has achieved. He's won everything. This is the last trophy to win, the Europa League, so we hope he can achieve that. But yeah, there's a sense in the stadium, and you'll see it tonight, and in terms of, it's not going to be one of our great European atmospheres, but what it will be is the fans showing their support for what this group of players might achieve this season. So there is a real feel-good factor, and it's great to be around the football club at this time.
Neil, thank you very much indeed. We don't want to tempt too much fate, but we're going to say Liverpool are in that quarter-final draw tomorrow afternoon. Be interesting to see who they come out alongside.
Yeah, you get a sense that Liverpool have done the job by and large, but from a Sparta point of view, they'll come here hoping they can pull off a miracle of their own. The funny thing is, Stephen, looking at them in the first leg, looking at them previously, I've seen them a couple of times this season, they're actually not bad. They do some good things, but maybe they left themselves too open at times in the first leg against Liverpool.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because whenever you play Liverpool or big teams come to, will play against Sparta Prague, they might look at it and think, we'll go toe-to-toe with them. They don't realise just how good they are, and they think they can hurt them. But that just leaves them so vulnerable the other way, and you get punished by quality. And there was bags of quality this night. And there's just a killer instinct about Liverpool at the moment, and that sometimes is unplayable. It's hard to play against, it's hard to defend against, but give them credit. They're going to come here, they're going to have a go, they're going to try and please the fans. It might be naive of them to do that, but do they really want to come here and sit back and go, well, if we get beat 1-0, great. They'd rather go out and enjoy themselves and have a go at it. Is it the right thing to do? We'll wait and see when the game kicks off.
Maybe a slightly more pragmatic setup, as we touched on at the top of the show, an extra body in midfield. But, you know, we didn't see in those highlights there, but, you know, in the opening stages, Kevin Keller's had to make a couple of good saves. They've had some good moments. There are decent players in that forward line. But again, ultimately, I guess Liverpool have got such a cushion that even if they do throw the kitchen sink at it, Liverpool have always got that breathing space and also gears to go into.
100%. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. You know, they were a threat. They were a threat. Their front three in particular, I think, on the counter caused us some real problems early on. But I do think with the scoreline, it's going to have to be a big ask. I actually was at a lunch earlier with some of their members of staff, and they're confident. You know, they're confident that they can maybe create a miracle here today. You know, so I think, you know, spot on what was said earlier is that you come here and you give it a go. You don't sit back and just hope to lose 1-0. If you're going to go out in style, at least trying, you know, and they've got to, do miracles. But we've witnessed miracles with Liverpool at Anfield. You know, this team are probably saying, well, why can't we do the same?
If we look at the rest of the ties being played this season, not going well for Czech football thus far. The rivals Slavia are taking a bit of a tanking to AC Milan in one of the games that's kicked off earlier today. The scores are on your screen just now. Benfica in control against Rangers. Milan well in front against Slavia, as I touched upon. Villarreal looking to stage a bit of a comeback against Marseille, doing well on the night but still work to do overall. And West Ham have taken control of their match against Freiburg. 4 more matches to come at 8, of course, including this one here at Anfield. You're looking now, we are looking, Stephen, at the draw potentially. We can start to cast an eye a little bit at what might come. Is there a tie you fancy for any particular reason, be it nostalgia, fun, devilment, easy passage?
No, not really. I think you look at some of the teams within the competition, and it's strong. So once you get through this stage, and we're assuming that we're through now, you'd say it's going to be, whatever draw comes up, it's going to be tough, and that's acceptable. That's just absolutely the way it is. I think everyone's looking at it saying they'd love the nostalgia of playing Bayer Leverkusen in the final, because it's Alonso versus Klopp and it's potential heir to the throne and things like that. See how he plays. A former Liverpool player would be magnificent. But yeah, I'd like that to happen in the final, but not any earlier, because they're a good team.
Yeah, well, that's the reason.
And that's one of the things, is that we're not just going down the nostalgia route. There's got to be a feeling of, no, they're a very good team. So would you fancy them over 2 legs, or would you fancy them over 1 leg? That's the interesting question. I think you'd rather play them over 2.
No country protection at this stage of the competition as well, so that throws the possibility of an all-English affair. I'm not a fan in European football. I kind of feel like, what's the point going into Europe to play the teams you play in the league?
Of course.
Do you have a preference? Would you mind that, to face a West Ham, for example?
No, I'm with you on that. You know, I went to the final against Tottenham, and obviously it's a final. You want to be there, but I'd much prefer to play against, you know, a team maybe not in our league. You know, I obviously was at AC Milan, so I'd love to see something like that. You know, that kind of match-up would be great. But look, we're firm favourites in this competition. Let's be honest. And yeah, I would fancy us up against any of those teams that are still in their top teams, but us right now, the way we're performing, and with the players coming back in that are coming back, you know, I really do think people will be wanting to avoid us rather than us worrying about avoiding them.
I'll reiterate the point I keep reiterating as we get through the season. That week of the final, there's also an FA Cup final to deal with potentially, so it could be quite 7 days. Okay, play more build-up still to come on Matchday Live. For those of you watching on social media, if you want to stick with us, then you can find details of how to subscribe to LFC TV or LFC TV Go on the official website at liverpoolfc.com/watch. After the break, we'll be hearing from the boss with the thoughts of Dominic Szoboszlai also on the way before kick-off. Neil Mellor is on the mic with Steve Hunter for live audio commentary from 8. And then Stephen, Natasha and I will be back at 10 to reflect on the action here at Anfield. The Matchday reaction show will also be available as a podcast later on. And at midnight, a full rerun of this evening's game will be available to watch on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. So, Liverpool looking to finish the job and secure a place in the last 8 of the Europa League. They are already 5-1 up against Sparta Prague on aggregate. More build-up, though, is on the way next.
It's about where your dad went. It's about where your grandfather went. It's about a